sitting now on the P&Z Commission. So currently, the Planning and Zoning Commission is looking at the zoning ordinance to
Yes.
redo that. What we will be asking the P&Z to look at after that is to revise the subdivision ordinance. Because it's quite old, and there are substantial changes in the law, substantial changes in case law that affect that ordinance. As we've been made aware of them by our attorneys, we have made changes to them, but it does need a rehaul. And one of the things that came up, and I'm glad that you asked this question because I can answer that, is when the developer came to us and asked if we would adopt the streets. We actually told them that we were not interested in adopting any more streets at this time because we didn't have the funding for it. Unfortunately, it was pointed out by his attorney, with our attorney, that our subdivision lacks any language, as you stated, about the process for a homeowner association to maintain its responsibility for the road. And because our ordinance lacks that particular language, we have no choice but to accept that road. So that is why it's really critical when we have the P&Z look at the zoning, the subdivision ordinance, is that we have to look at a provision there as we get some of these subdivisions into our areas that are coming in, that we have some provision for homeowners association. So we have the option as a city to say, no, if you want to develop this under a homeowners association, that's fine, but you are responsible for your roads. Or we have the option to say, yes, we can take care of this. In this particular case, we had no choice.
Yes, I know how long it takes to go through the planning and zoning ordinance, and I know it would take a while to go through the subdivision ordinance. Would there ever be a possibility to amend
It
on
may
a
be,
short term so that we could stop it before we get through the whole ordinance?
again, I can't get into a discussion about that, but we certainly can take that into consideration, and I can discuss it with our attorneys and see what they say about that, because it is, again.
Okay, then the only second thing I have, and I'm hoping Kate will address this later, is if he has an update on the striping for Bernie Road at the Dry Hollow Creek.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mike. All right, well then, in that case, we'll turn it over to the roads under old business. We'll start out with the road report.
Nothing much has happened since the end of coming up on the end of the year here. They have replaced the wooden bollards in Churchview and Pittman. Ronnie will resume spraying as of today. He had scheduled to start, but since the rain had been pushed back a little, he'll start spraying, and then the two saws have been finished out of Kubota, so we'll pick that up and he'll start shredding again, trees one more time on the roads there, and then finish shredding for the rest of the year. And so for preventative care for next year. So that's it.
And the response to...
I've had the initial striper had a fallen out, so I am sending back out quotes again for getting it done.
One other road report that I will give is, as we've started the new fiscal year and the new budget, I am going to be meeting with the, as you may recall, past couple of months, we put out bids for engineer services, not bids for, let me phrase that, we put out requests for qualifications, and we accepted, it was 8 or 9 different engineering firms that met our qualifications, allowed them to do work in the city of St. Hedwig. And one of the reasons we wanted to do that was because currently we only have one engineer, and when there are projects, especially like subdivisions, they could be the guys that were doing the plans, and for them to review the plans is a conflict of interest. So we wanted to make sure that didn't happen. And we were quite surprised at the number of responses we got, actually. The point being that I am going to be in November, December, sitting down with each one of those firms to get a better idea of what their expertise is at, because we're going to want to start looking at the roads. We did not do large projects this year on the road repair. We have funding that we want to be able to spend for that. And my first order of business after I sit down with the engineering firm is to select a firm that was going to do a road survey. And I'd like them to go through the entire 32 miles of road and give us a report on what they feel needs to be done immediately, what risks are out there, and what we need to start addressing so we can look at our budget and make a determination on where those monies need to go for it. So I may ask if you're available to sit with me on some of the meetings, Councilman Magnolia.
I would like to see them or you, Kate, or someone look at striping more roads, especially those that are higher traffic. Because I understand there was an accident on the Greytown Road last month, and there is a hilly portion there, and I've seen it myself when you're coming from a certain direction. Somebody could be coming down the middle of the road.
And you can't see.
And you can't see them. Or you may be driving down, I may be driving down the middle of the road, and without a stripe, the stripe does something to you mentally, at least it might keep you on your own side. And there are a couple roads, and Pittman is absolutely one of them, and Greytown is as well, that is highly traveled, and striping may help that issue.
And again, what I'm going to be looking at from them, and I'm certainly going to want the input of the council just on those kind of items, is what things we want them to be looking for. Are there hazards that aren't being addressed on the roads? Are there areas that are greater risk than others? And so we'll definitely be looking at those things. So your input will be very helpful.
And I would recommend, if we could, to do like a public hearing so the citizens could report on something like that
Sure.
too.
Give us
That's
a
a great idea.
Yeah, like kind of like, well, why we're wanting, but
Yeah.
you know, that still hasn't been addressed, that the road down there, so it's.
I think would be a very fair idea. Okay. All right, well, we'll be moving on that. We probably won't do any public hearings the next month or two. It's holidays, we won't. But I'll be meeting with the engineers, and then maybe at the beginning of the year, we can do a public hearing so that folks can come in and let us know the concerns that they have. Thank you. City Park, Councilman Padalecki isn't here, so I don't have an update on that. Update on monthly crime stats, Councilman Hafner.
Me.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Go back too fast.
I see we had quite the crime spree.
Yeah, it went up quite a bit from the previous time period, and the period August 28th through September 25th. That's because I was out of town. We jumped to 9.
Wow, this is the highest I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, 2 violent and 7 property crimes, and the list of locations is all over the place. FM 1346, Acock Lane, Atkins, St. Hedwig Road, East Lupon, FM 1346, Abbott, Antelope Run, Lavernia, St. Hedwig Road. They're all over the place. And fortunately, from September through October, they were back down to 3. 1 assault on FM 1518 and 2 property crimes, 1 on Lupon and 1 on FM 1346. And as usual, they are posted on the city's website. So hopefully that was just a spike and will not continue.
Lock your stuff up, guys.
Since we have an uptick, is there a mechanism in place where we could have the sheriff's monitor the area a little bit more, maybe? Possibly discourage?
Probably not more than usual, but at least it went down. So I would say if it jumped that much and stayed that way for a couple of months, then we should certainly ask for more coverage.
The last time I spoke with the sheriff's office was probably a year ago, and quite frankly did not receive much of a response. They pretty much said, we're busy. And we don't just do patrols, we respond to calls. Again, as you said, if we continue to see this uptick, I absolutely, if it's, one time does not a trend make, but if we continue to see this as a trend, then we certainly should be contacting them and seeing if they can be a little bit more presence on there.
Because we pay for their services, correct, or not?
Well, our taxes,
Our
our very
taxes.
county taxes.
Our taxes pay for it, and they have the new substation up the road.
Yes, they do.
So,
It's hard to change old habits.
I know.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, hopefully it won't you know, I don't wanna see it go up again, but there's a lot of people that have fears of that for different reasons.
Well, as you said, the one in September was only 3, which is kind of down to our
Normal.
normal. But yeah, let's keep an eye on that.
We got the Hedwig Council in Baker.
Yeah, right.
All right, now, we have update on the wireless network, Councilman Happer.
It is with the attorneys, they will have it ready for December. There was the snag, we thought we had a right-of-way agreement, which we don't, so they have to write that up, and that's the final piece of this.
So this, what you're working on sets parameters for their entrance into our community and what they can and can't do, and who they have to notify, and what permission they have to give. Is that what
It's
we're after?
multiple levels, so the wireless network node ordinance, it's gonna be a total of 3 ordinances, so it's gonna be a wireless network node ordinance, telling them what they can put up on what poles, electrical poles, for the wireless. If they dig in the ground, they have to get our permission, how much that we can charge them. And like the historic district has to blend in, other districts it has to, commercial district would be a normal type node, these big boxes that put on the poles. Second ordinance will be the contractual agreement that we charge, the standing rate is $300 per node, per pole per month, that we put in if they decide to put them on. The third one's a lot bigger, that's the right-of-way ordinance, so that'll be what people can do on our roads, basically, so if they.
Within the city's right of way.
Within the city's right, correct. So that one, I'm a little less familiar with, the attorneys will bring it up, but we will review, and, they don't all have to be voted on that night, we can review them and say, we want this added for that added, but yeah. So, but that one's takes a little bit more time, it's a little bit more depth, because it's those driveways, it deals with the light poles, everything,
Right.
the roads in the city. So.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, thank you. All right, we're getting there. All right, next item is new business, and it's 3 resolutions. The first resolution is Resolution 1910, to elect the Bear County Appraisal District Board of Directors vote. So the process is that when Bear County Appraisal District has nominations of board directors, it's the taxing units, taxing authorities, which we are the ones that vote on the board of directors. So every time they do this, they send us this application, and it has a list of candidates. They tell us absolutely nothing about the candidate. All we know about the candidate is who they were nominated by. So I cannot help you here on who we should be nominating. Perhaps so all we know is one candidate, Sherry Byram, was nominated by Bernie ISD and Southwest ISD. John Fisher was nominated by Northeast ISD. Aaron Harrison was nominated by the city of Alamos Park. Juan Mancha was nominated by Harlan ISD. Richard Moreno nominated by Harlan ISD. Sergio Rodriguez nominated by Bear County and Bernie ISD. Michael Ross nominated by the city of Chavano Park. Mr. Schroeder's no longer on the list. He's not in the running. George Torres nominated by Bernie ISD and Northside ISD. And Roberto Trevino nominated by Bernie ISD and City of San Antonio. This is all we know about the folks, so.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It's a little, kind of leaves you out in the middle of nowhere, and unless we have someone that would guide us, my only logic was to pick the one that lived closest to us.
I think that's pretty good logic.
And we've done that, but you think if they were running for office, they would show up at city council meetings and.
Well, I don't know how much of an office it is. It's,
Yeah.
in terms of a political office, so I'm sure they don't want to be running from Barney or,
Well,
whatever.
it's the taxing units in
Yeah.
Bear County, and there are 37 cities in Bear County.
Right,
So
and
they
you
would
can
have
see
to
a
show up at
list of these.
37.
That's the burdens on them.
I mean, and it's huge, and we're
Yeah.
kind of way down there
One vote.
We have one vote.
in the who cares column.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
That's the column we're in. We're right up
that's
there
not
with the,
to slight us in any way, it's just kind of funny, but, we have no choice, we need to vote, I would say.
Yes.
We shouldn't abstain, so I would say go for the Northeast Independent School District.
Yeah, 'cause that's
I'm
the one
assuming
we
that's a
decided,
male,
yeah.
Mr. John Fisher, J-O-N.
Yeah, I think that's good logic, as someone who's closest to it.
Because, I mean, Almas Park, they don't have a clue. Bernie, Chavano Park, Helotes, North Side, Southwest Side, Harlandale,
Yeah.
they're all kind of like not, they probably don't even know who St. Hedwig is. Maybe somebody on the northeast side at least knows who we are out here.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a
I
second?
move to nominate or vote for Mr. John Fisher.
I second that motion.
All right, any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's John Fisher with one vote.
Yeah, for everybody's information, we get one vote for our city, and that's it.
Okay,
North side gets 1,000. Yeah, so,
Well, yeah, but we only.
I know, so.
next item is resolution number 1911, accepting the dedication of Silesia Drive and any related right-of-ways at public street in the city of St. Hedwig. Staub Investment Properties owns the tract. We did approve the reference tract, the plat that they submitted. By accepting the plat, we, because of lack of options in our subdivision ordinance, have to accept the street by dedication as long as the street is inspected and it's determined that they meet the provisions of our subdivision ordinance. It was inspected by Rakowitz Engineering and was approved, and we received the recommendation letter. So therefore, it's resolved by the city of St. Hedwig that the above recitals are incorporated in this resolution, that the City Council of St. Hedwig hereby accept the dedication of Silesian Drive for the operation and maintenance of said street as a public street. I was very clear when I spoke with the council, our attorney, that this includes just road maintenance, not maintenance of anything on the road. It's not street lights, it's not anything else. It is just the maintenance of the road itself. The same as any other road that we have in the city.
So Mayor, I'd like to back up a minute. You
Sure.
said we have to accept this ordinance. Can you go further into that?
Because our subdivision ordinance does not make a provision, lacks a provision for us to have a homeowner association which is responsible for the roads.
I understand that.
We can't preclude the public from driving on these roads. It's like saying you can build a road, but you can't go on it because it's not accepted as a
So
public road.
what's the penalty if we don't accept this ordinance?
There's not a penalty, we just can't not accept it because it becomes, by the lack of our having the ordinance correctly stated, we automatically accept the roads.
So that's where I'm going with this, is then why is it being a resolution? to be
Because it's
voted on?
required by law
To
to
be
be a
voted on.
resolution.
If it's a resolution to be voted on, if we vote no on it, there has to be some type of penalty to it.
The
Then if we have to do it.
Penalty's not the correct word. It's, the resolution is pro forma. In other words, it's the form that we have to use to
Right.
accept it.
Yep.
But we don't have any options that are available to us in our ordinance because we don't have them.
And I would add, to me, in my opinion, in the past, the roads that we have declined to maintain are private roads. They are dead ends for the most
Yeah.
part. I forgot the name of the one down here on
I know what you're
1318,
talking
and then over there, Mahowski Lane is another one on Greytown Road. Those are the two that I recall. Maybe there's part of Felix Road that is a dead end that we don't maintain. Those roads we have turned down. Now, this one, and to me, the logic makes a lot of sense, you know, notwithstanding the fact that we should have had verbiage in the
Right.
subdivision ordinance, but that was the first time we ever had an ordinance like that. We were shooting in the dark, over 13, 14 years ago.
14 years ago.
More than that. But as long as it's up to code, I mean, we don't go in there and build the road for them. We maintain it once it is up to standard.
I'm not arguing the need for us to take on the road and the gap in our ordinance is, but if it's up to a vote, we could vote no, but what would happen if we voted no?
Well, then
That's my
there's just no
question.
resolution.
Then there's no resolution.
That's all.
Well, I understand that, but
But the road still gets accepted as a public
so
road.
it makes no difference.
Correct.
Right, okay, that's what I wanted to hear, thank you. So,
That's what we're
So,
looking at, yes.
right, that's what I wanted to know, yeah. So,
Did they not know that they were in charge of the road going into the subdivision building? Was it not a cost incurred already planned to them?
Oh, yes, they did it, they
Yeah.
built it. The thing is, and as Councilwoman Baker said, if you have an ordinance that says you need to follow these rules in order to build the road, and they followed the rules, and then we said, yes, that conforms to our subdivision, we don't have a reason not to accept it. I guess that's the better way of saying it.
So that means that they could just build it and now dump it to us, is basically how this is gonna work.
Until we change our subdivision ordinance,
Right.
until we
We need to
reform-
specify more in there.
Yes, we do. Until we
And they're
reform-
already working on that?
I know that our council is aware of that.
So this won't
Attorney
happen the
is aware.
second time then?
Well, I can't guarantee that because we haven't changed the subdivision ordinance. Technically, the process that should happen is that the Planning and Zoning Commission is the one that makes the recommendation. Now, this is what we can do, and I submit this to the council. If you feel that this is of significant concern, I don't know that we have any subdivisions coming in the near future, but that doesn't mean that somebody's not gonna walk in tomorrow and hand us a plat and say, hey, we're building a big subdivision on this new future land use area. If the council feels it is of significant concern that we don't have an option here, that leaves us open to not having a lot of choices, then you certainly can charge the Planning and Zoning Commission to do whatever you need them to do to look at this, even if it means stopping on the zoning ordinance for a short period of time, or adding it to their load, or whatever you'd like to do. But if this is of concern to the council, I'm more than happy to task the Planning and Zoning Commission with looking at this and making a recommendation quickly.
so,
Would that
Mayor,
mean tabling this?
well, it's not a table, point of order, so it would be sending to the committee, it would be tabling for the purpose of sending to committee.
Right.
So the commission would look at it, the Planning and Zoning Commission, then they would report back up to us with more findings.
But
So it's tabling, but we're sending it to committee.
Well, I think we're just,
we can't
wasting
table the
time.
resolution.
I think we're
Because they've
wasting.
already met the conditions
Right.
that are present in our
It's in
ordinance.
But point of order, we can, it's a resolution.
Well, I understand that, I see
Yeah.
that. But there's not, it doesn't affect, regardless
It's
of
gonna
what
happen no matter what, yeah.
regardless of what recommendation planning and zoning comes up with, whether they say, yeah, we've got to shoot, this is before the fact. We can't change what our decision is on this based on future recommendations from planning and zoning. They've already followed the rules. And so I would caution against tabling it, because even if they made changes to the thing, they already obey the rules as they exist now.
Right.
That would be my only comment to
You know, you could say it sets precedent, but we're already addressing that. Our plan is to take care of it and make
Oh,
this,
I agree.
where you won't
Yeah.
require a resolution
I
in the
just
future.
don't like, it's not so much about the road, it's the idea
Process.
of the process that we have. We're voting on something that we have no real vote on.
Well,
Yeah.
we're voting to do it now as opposed to later,
Right, but,
period, and document the fact that they are approved and we're taking it
or
over.
we could vote no, and it's still gonna be approved.
Well,
Yeah, so,
but you're
yeah.
talking about a subdivision that's in existence,
Right.
that's her point.
Yeah.
It's today, it's
I know,
now.
I know.
Now, if we had no plan to change it, I would say, well, I don't know if we want to set this precedent, because they'd be lining up out there.
Right.
Potentially, but that's not the case. The case is, we're going to do it anyway.
Right.
So I think it's kind of a moot point. With that being said, I'll move to accept resolution number 1911, accepting the dedication of Silesia Drive.
you. All right, do I have a second?
Come on, guys.
I'll second the motion.
All right. All in favor of accepting the resolution 1911?
All right.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Yay.
Okay, 2 opposed, 2 ayes and 1 nay. The resolution is accepted. All right. And, yes,
If I could make another motion, I move to task the
thank you.
Planning and Zoning Commission to look at our zoning,
Subdivision.
the subdivision ordinance, specifically to maintenance of the roads.
specifically related to subdivision, actually, let me make sure I understand. Your concern is that, we have no provision for homeowner associations that would maintain their own roads.
Tell me how you would say the motion.
Move to, task the Planning and Zoning Commission with review of the subdivision ordinance as it applies to homeowner associations and their responsibility to maintain their roads.
So moved.
Point of order, can you do that if it wasn't on the agenda?
I can make a motion anytime.
Make a motion.
Oh, sorry, yeah. That's about that.
Right.
That's right.
And point of order from the audience, sorry. But thank you for explaining. Yes, a motion,
A second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next resolution comes from Councilwoman Baker and Councilwoman Padalecki.
Yes, Councilwoman Pavlecki and myself discussed this issue during one of the discussions regarding the budget. And it has to do with the resolution of the city council to provide the mayor of the city with a monthly salary. And I can read through this thing, and the basis of it is that over the past few years, the duties of mayor have expanded substantially. And the current mayor's duties include not only mayoral responsibilities, but also encompass the duties of a city manager. And the city council has determined it is more cost-effective to pay the mayor a salary than to hire a city manager at this stage in the city's development. Also included in that, the mayor was appointed to serve as the city's presiding municipal court judge, whose duties will also expand as the municipal court grows with needs of the city. And the city council deems it more economical to continue to have the mayor serve in this capacity than to pay for a circuit judge to provide these services. And based on that, and we've had some discussion about it, it is resolved, this is what the resolution is trying to pass, resolved by the city council of the city of St. Hedwig, that in consideration of the mayor's dedication of a minimum of 16 hours weekly to managing city business, of which 8 of those must be worked at City Hall, City Council sets salary of the mayor at $1,200 a month. That compensation to the mayor authorized by this resolution shall not include medical or any other benefits. And the other stuff is just,
This second part is kind of important to note.
it takes effect
This does not take effect
until after the next
until the next term.
term, May 2nd, 2020.
Correct.
That's right, that's important.
Just a couple of questions on this, and like I said, I'm all for it. And I know you do way more than 60 hours for the city, but the 8 hours outside of City Hall, do we have a way to gauge that, or is it just a trust factor, or, like I said, I know you do way more than that. If someone does come in, is there a way we can track it?
It's a relevant question, and I believe one of the concerns that council had was that the mayor's dedicating a specific portion of the time working at City Hall to have a greater presence to citizens, vendors, and to more effectively manage the administrative process. And it's doing things like meeting with the engineers, because we do have a large percentage of new things coming up that have never come up. So there really does need to be a good presence, and Janice does a fantastic job. But there are just so many things that really need more of a presence, and as we grow and we continue to have more complex issues, that presence absolutely needs to be there. As far as gauging how much time that's spent out of the office, that is up to the council. I mean,
Well, it's
I
in the
work with
resolution, it says 8 in the office,
Right.
a minimum, 8
Right.
in the office, 8
Minimum
out of the
8.
office. And like I said, I know you spend way more than 8 hours. You know? Yeah.
If I'm not, if I don't run again next
Yeah.
year, or if I don't get nominated against this year, if somebody else runs, the council would have to have discussion with them on how they
Right.
would want to manage that.
And that's my concern.
And at that time, if I run again, if I get nominated again, or if nobody runs against, or whatever, we certainly could sit down and make a discussion at that time of how the council would like.
And it's just a concern, yeah.
Oh,
it's
no,
just a
absolutely,
concern.
I think,
Because we could get a mayor in, because I know you work for
Well-
it, we could get a mayor in that could just,
Well, we
Well-
have
Sit there all
that
day and
same,
do
we have
nothing.
that same tracking issue with, the compliance officer, the maintenance guys,
Sure.
Right.
anybody, and we don't have that many
Okay.
people on the payroll, so my guess would be she's gonna spend, or whoever's in the
Right.
position will spend more than 8 hours a week in City Hall,
I would assume.
and much more than 8 hours
Yeah.
of their own time. That's already happening, and it's been happening for years.
That's what I keep saying,
Prior-
yeah.
Prior to
So,
Mayor Grimm, it happened.
yeah.
So I don't really have a big concern. If we get to the point where we can't trust him, then we need to take some other kind of action.
I agree, yeah, that perfect answer my question, so.
And,
With that-
and the reason that, I think it was important to kind of delineate this now, one, because of timelines that are required. If you were going to do a salary for, the next, coming, term, you had to do it by January of next year. You had to get this, together by then. And again, it's not effective until the next term. And you needed to set some parameters for, as you said, not knowing who may be the mayor at that time, you have to set some minimum standards as to what the expectations were.
And just one more point, question for the citizens really too, is, and this falls within the budgetary confines that we have from the mayor's office, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so,
And there's always the issue of, as we grow and the city manager duties grow, possibly, that can be separated.
yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, that can change.
Yep, yep, or the judge duties or whatever, yeah,
Exactly.
exactly, yeah.
This is the first
Yeah.
step in this, the financial aspect or the payroll aspect of the city.
Right, and it
And it's
had to
growth.
be done within this time period. so-
Right.
I move to accept resolution 1912, resolution of the city council providing the mayor of the city of St. Hedwig with a monthly salary.
Second motion.
All right, no other comments, questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, resolution 1912 is accepted. All right, and then, last but not least, we have announcements. I hope everybody got a chance to participate in the MD System cleanup day. We thank MD Systems for that. I hope everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. And in the December meeting is when we'll be posting notice about upcoming positions that will be open for the new election process coming next year. The open.
I have a question regarding the agenda. Why do we keep the fire department on there? If they had decided they don't want to come here anymore, we're not required to, are we?
We're not required to. I keep it on there in the hope that they show up.
Right.
If it's not on there and then they show up, then you're kind of going, well.
Well, they could be citizens to be heard.
They could, that's true, we could take it
I
off.
move to strike the fire department report from the agenda.
I'll second
All in favor?
it.
Aye.
I will inform Chief Pawlicki, he is
You'll be
no
happy.
longer on the.
Well, you can, if he wants to come, we're glad to have him. He can sign and give his report.
But it conflicts, I know, with one of their meetings too.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, that's the reason they don't.
Well, there's more than one.
I know.
If it's in.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Also, I'd like to say happy Veterans Day, which will be Monday.
Thank you, Monday,
coming up.
happy Veterans Day.
And the Legion will be having its craft fair where the proceeds will be going to our memorial fund on
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yes.
From 9 to 4. From 9 to 3.
I'm sure a lot of you are participating, so.
Happens, they're gonna do that.
The Annunciation Church Rosary Society Turkey Dinner is the 24th, I believe, Sunday the 24th.
Third Sunday, correct.
The Sunday before Thanksgiving.
Any other announcements for the good of the community? Hearing none, then our next agenda date would be set for our usual first Thursday of the month, which will be December 5th, I believe.
And Mayor, one more thing if we could, I'd like to welcome Deputy Sheriff Blake back.
And we are so happy to have you back, sir. Really happy to see you. All right, then hearing nothing and no issues for the December 5th, anybody conflicts? All okay? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you so much for